Hey, Farva.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Hey, is any of this sinking in?
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
You're dead. Dead.
What's the name of that restaurant you like with all the goofy shit on the walls and the mozzarella sticks? You mean Shenanigans? No. You're talking about Shenanigans, right?
Welcome to the 35mm podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Tracey.
I'm Julia.
There we go. And today we're going to be reviewing the 1994 hit by Russell Mulcahy, The Shadow. And by hit, I mean not at all.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like that hit's doing a lot of lifting in that sentence.
It is. They did get money out of my butt for this. Me and my cousin went to go see this, either opening weekend or the weekend after. This movie was released in between two of 1994's top hits,
What?
The Lion King and The Mask.
Oh,
And no way that was going to beat either of those movies.
nope.
And for more ways than one, but
They tried, but didn't work out.
I mean, they hoped. Let's say they hoped.
well, it's a thing. Like, I'm not saying this couldn't have made money if they had released it on another weekend, like down the road. It's kind of like a Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. I went to go see that. It's a good movie, but they released it in between. It was released a week before
Oh,
Barbie and Oppenheimer, or 2 weeks before Barbie and Oppenheimer, and after Indiana Jones. Made more than Mission Impossible.
How are you going to avoid the big true summer hit of Sound of Freedom?
Fuck that movie. Fuck that QAnon bullshit. And I hope if anyone listens to this, seen that movie and think it's great, no, fuck you. You heard me. Russell Mulcahy. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I watched an interview because he's from Australia, and this dude is mostly known for the shit ton of music videos he did in the 80s, like for Elton John, Duran Duran, and others. Like in the infancy of MTV, he was just like, I'm going to direct all of these music videos.
Well, like Wikipedia's music videography is fucking long as shit. And then it's like, here's like 12 movies.
Yeah, he did Highlander, which I love. And then he did Highlander 2, which I hate.
He did Resident Evil Extinction.
Oh, yeah, he's like one other director that directed those movies.
Mm-hmm.
He also did the entire Teen Wolf drama show and movie. Like, they just did the movie recently.
I think they're doing a show too along with that because it was like a legacy.
No, it was the show, and then they just did the movie.
Well, no, but there was like a new show that came after. It's like a legacy of both.
But originally, our man that we'll talk about in a few weeks, Sam Raimi, wanted to do this.
Uh-huh.
Yes, yeah. Okay, I was about to say, yeah, they did they were talking about making one, and it was going to be like that and the dude that worked on some Batman shit, but it didn't go as planned. And there was also, I talked to my dad about this today. There was like a video game tie-in because, those were like really popular back then. But they were like, since it did terribly, they were like, never mind. So they never released it, even though it was done. But you can find gameplay online. So it's been leaked already.
Yeah, but Sam Raimi wanted to do this. Universal said, yeah, I don't give a fuck what you want to do. But we will let you do this movie called Darkman. And he's like, and better movie. You've seen Darkman, haven't you?
Let me look at the poster.
Liam Neeson. He gets horribly burned and has this technology to make his face look like someone else.
I might have, but it was
because he gets burned so bad, like he can't feel pain. So that made him invulnerable.
Damn, he got fucked up.
Awesome movie, very Raimi movie too.
Something I noticed watching this movie, like overall, like aesthetically, like this movie really, really wanted to be the Tim Burton Batman movies. It's like it really
It
That's
was
a vibe.
very, very inspired by it. Yes.
yeah, like it really wanted to be. And I think that may be to the detriment of it to an extent because
I think there's more than just that to the detriment, man.
I mean, that's part of it, but
Obviously, like I said, I'm the only one that's seen this prior to prepping for this recording.
how often do you watch this movie?
He
So
loves it. He watches all the time.
I don't.
It's bullshit.
Apparently, I watched it earlier this year and I don't remember. I was looking at my list of movies and I was like, wait, why is this already in my 2023 list? Nope, I've already seen it. So I watched it again.
Yeah, it sounds like torture.
I even had the toys. Click, click, click.
Oh God.
Have you had that toy the entire time, or did you have to just buy that?
I had to
later buy?
rebuy this, man. Man, when I was a kid, you can't see this if you're listening to this, but I have a shadow toy, and he is can't see his eyes, but they glow. There we go. You can kind of see it.
Didn't you say that there was an invisible one?
Yes, there's an invisible one that look like it's just how Iceman toy looks.
I think so.
It looks like that.
Oh, like the Mr. Freeze toys look like as well.
Yeah, it looks like ice, but it's just clear plastic.
Yeah. I thought when you said invisible, I thought literally they just put a plastic wrap around a box. Like, here's an invisible toy.
No, that's the John Cena dolls. So the Shadow, based off of the radio show and pulp comic, this movie pulls from both. The radio show was written by Harry Houdini's ghostwriter, which I'm trying to figure out why Harry Houdini needed a ghostwriter.
Probably his speeches and stuff. Maybe to kind of build angst for his.
I'm about to jump in this milk bottle.
Just telling the stories how he done it.
In the radio show, the Shadow was played by Orson Welles, and Margot Lane, that we'll talk about, was played by Agnes Moorehead, which was the mother in Bewitched.
Okay.
You remember Bewitched? Have you ever seen?
Vaguely.
The Shadow itself, maybe not the movie, but the Shadow is a clear influence on Batman. Even Bob Kane has said that this was an influence on him creating Batman.
Which is kind of funny because it's like, obviously Tim Burton Batman based on the comics, based on the Shadow. And then you have the Shadow based on the comics that tried to be 1989 Batman, but failed ultimately for multiple reasons.
But a lot of people didn't know this because, well, when it came out, I didn't know what the Shadow was. And there was some comics here and there, and nobody knows when it comes out, it's referring to a pulp comic. And I'm like, okay, like you didn't do anything to try to prepare people. Because DC has had this property off and on for years. And boy, was his comic book origin very problematic.
Why? What happened?
So he gets rich, as he does in the movie, but because he found a gold city in South America. So
El Dorado.
Yeah, he basically colonizes it.
So instead of South America in this one, he just does Mongolia, East Asia.
He stole Lamont Cranston's identity, which we'll talk about that later. And also both sides of World War I wanted to kill his ass and that's when he fled to Tibet to learn the ways of the Shadow.
Okay.
My favorite thing about the Shadow in 1994, though, is that this movie could have unintentionally been part of that pulp comic universe everyone was craving for in the 90s. Because you have you have Dick Tracy, you have the fucking Rocketeer come out in 91. You have the Phantom.
I mean, Who Framed Roger Rabbit to an extent could probably be into that.
That was based off of a book. And The Mask of Zorro. So you have all 5 of these movies based off of old ass fucking properties that were based off of like comics.
Matt, you're gonna get hired by Universal. You just gave them an idea for their own extended universe.
Yeah, but we can't do it unless the Phantom is Billy Zane. Zorro has to be Antonio Banderas.
So
the Shadow, though, we can do someone else than Alec Baldwin.
I mean, Alec Baldwin be in jail, so I mean,
No, he got charges dismissed, dude.
Well, actually, I was reading, and I mean, he could still be charged, but I mean, obviously not, because, yeah.
Oh, so he'd be charged civil instead of criminally then at that point?
I could probably.
Oh yeah, that family's suing the fuck out of him. Anything you want to add? Did you do any research, Tracy?
No, I always go in these things blind and come to this conversation blind. Woohoo!
I was about to say, I did some research, just not like, because I was like, I didn't know
Oh, cool.
what this was.
The soon-to-be doctor has to do all the research. Got it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is your bread and butter.
It is, I guess. Anywho, back to the movie.
It just barely turned a profit. So after marketing, he probably lost money.
Yeah, it definitely lost money.
But I did see a name in the credits that I was like, oh, that's actually interesting to see.
Who?
Luis D. Esposito.
As who?
He's executive producer.
Oh, okay.
And he's executive producer of the MCU.
Oh, he is? Oh,
yep.
Does he produce all the MCU shows and movies?
He's one of the trinity of him, Kevin Feige, and what's her name that was just released?
Kathleen Kennedy?
No.
David Cope is the screenwriter for this, and he's apparently the 9th most successful screenwriter of all time.
Not most, or
9th.
like 9th? Oh, I thought you said not.
Because he did the screenplay for Jurassic Park.
Oh, wow. We were just talking about that too.
Yeah, but he's also done but he does adaptations mostly because Jurassic Park is based off of a novel.
Which I didn't find out until last year.
War of the Worlds based off of that famous novel. Secret Window based off a Stephen King novel. Oh, he did do Mission Impossible 1. Oh, he wrote that latest wrote the last 2 Indiana Jones movies. Now I know why they're not that good.
Why would you run that back when Crystal Skull had so much horrible writing?
I don't know.
But the person I was thinking of was Victoria Alonso.
Oh,
she's
okay.
the other part of that trinity that recently left Marvel. That was
I was about to say Marvel's never Disney's never going to tell Kathleen Kennedy go on retire, go on that dusty trail when they need to.
Because she was primary producer behind Indiana Jones, wasn't she?
A lot of George Lucas, Star Wars, stuff like that. It's like she was one of them behind the new trilogy.
Yeah, like she was like his chosen successor for Lucasfilm once it was bought out, right?
I think so, yeah.
They just need to make it Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and just make them the tag team for the organization of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. We open with a stylized intro, and I'm not sure it's good.
It's debatable.
I'm just talking about the shadow screen itself. It's kind of like Wish.com Batman.
You know what? You know what? It's a lot better than Secret Invasion's AI opening. I'll admit.
Well, anything's better than that opening.
That didn't bother me. It wasn't meant to look. It wasn't made to look pretty.
Look at this, the Marvel apologist over here, Tracy.
No, I'm not gonna lie. Secret Invasion, for $220 million, that was some, and 50% of his reshoots. You guys really dropped the ball there.
I do want to point out that was how much money?
$220 million.
320 million. Blue Beetle, 104 million budget. Infinitely better. Like CG, everything.
Yeah, I need to watch Blue Beetle. I want to go see it eventually.
Yeah, you definitely do. Then we open in the opium fields of Tibet.
God, this movie is something else.
And that's what it says. The opium fields, comma, Tibet.
After a really great start.
Usually it's like a city and a state or a city and a country. Nope, fields.
They want it to be really different, I guess, really quirky.
And what's weird to me about it is that they tell you where you're at in between credits.
Which is really, I thought was just so dumb. I was like, oh, Cool.
Alec Baldwin, Penelope Ann Miller, Ian McKellen, Opium Fields, Tibet.
I didn't catch that.
Huh?
That is next level of bad.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad thing.
Like because nothing happens in the credit scene. Why couldn't you wait to end the credits just to fucking? I don't know. That's
it made me a little mad too. Not even a little mad. I was just like, what the fuck? This is stupid. But anyway.
But this old car, so you know you're in the past sometime, 30s or 40s, when with someone captured, and it's not just someone, it's not some Tibetan, but it's James goddamn Hong. And I love this motherfucker. Most recently, he was in Everything Everywhere All at Once as the dad. He has over 600 film credits. I'm not about to try to list any more than that. I do want to say I loved his SAG acceptance speech from last year or this year. And for Everything Everywhere All at Once, basically telling old Hollywood to get fucked because this movie made a lot of money. And he was like talking about how racist they used to be and everything. It was a good speech. It does suck that it took like a major push by Daniel Day-Kim to get his star on the Walk of Fame. A guy 600 film credits, over 600, and it took a push on Twitter. But this is Li Ping brought in for murder, and everyone around these people are high as fuck. And there's been some definite orgy action.
like this entire like scene is like multiple levels of just like just things that make you go blah.
Including Alec Baldwin's long ass fingernails.
Exactly.
And just like no,
while
I'm
he's
good.
grabbing meat to feed the dog and
the Coke now, just that's enough.
And we have again Alec Baldwin. He's been in some memorable ass movies like Departed. I love him in Departed. Glengarry Glen Ross.
Is it bad I only know him off like as the Boss Baby and like the Donald Trump impersonator?
He was also the bounty hunter in SpongeBob movie.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
So you do know him from something else. He was also the love interest in Cat in the Hat movie. So I guess now is a good time to address the elephant in the room. There's a lot of offensive shit in this movie.
Oh yeah, just slightly racist, slightly offensive.
Like, dear God, did they not think to update the script to be 90s? Like calling Alec Ying Ko.
Yeah, Ying Kao. Like, yeah, when I think of that name, I obviously think of Alec Baldwin. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Or all the Asian stereotypes in this movie. Like, dear God. Oh, and this isn't we haven't touched on the bigger thing or the other big thing that's offensive in this movie. We'll get to that. But Alec Baldwin, I'm not going to call him by that fucking name. He orders James Hong dead, but at first James Hong ain't having it. He's like, no, fuck you. But he has him killed anyway, shot through his own right-hand dude or whatever. And we cut to night, and Lamont, that's his character name, is having a weird dream or something after his four-way.
He dreams about being an Asian man.
I mean, this is like, it's like Lawrence of Arabia, but not Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah.
Just like, because he's like, I'm the white man that's come to overside as the colonial master here. And you guys, what do as I say? Like, it's so tropey.
Yes. But the hair is so fucking fake on him.
It is.
Like, you can almost see the line. You can almost see the line where it's a wig.
He looks like Alan Cumming from fucking Son of the Mask, but even then he pulled off that wig well, so.
But he's abducted to the fucking G.I. Joe Cobra HQ.
How does you're a warlord with your own fucking thing and none of your goons like stop an innovation to just let it?
It's because they're all fucking high on opium and after having sex, dude.
I mean, that's a good excuse, but still.
Then this guy's like, a clouded mind sees nothing. And that's pretty much the whole big thing about this movie.
A clouded mind sees nothing?
Yes. That is the big thing about this movie.
Well, I mean, like, you said the Cobra hideout, it's Temple of Doom without it being the actual Temple of Doom.
Yeah. but he's brought into a toku, which is and wants to teach him the ways of the shadow. Obviously, this is not the real kid's voice. If you didn't know that, this is Barry Denon. He had a small role in The Shining and a few other things. But he gets into his psyche, which feels almost forced because we still don't have any character development of Lamont other than he's taken over opium fields in Tibet.
Do we actually have any character development with Lamont throughout the entire movie?
Not
really.
Not really. No.
Character development is not what this movie's about.
But this whole big thing about how people that have this trait can move in the shadows, that effect is not good.
I can't. It's terrible. It makes me want to throw up, visibly.
And that's when we meet the knife, which I can't tell you the name of the knife.
Oh, God damn it. No, don't.
And
it's so... Oh, my God.
It's a sentient knife that someone can control.
And it has a face. It
Yeah.
has a fucking face and it has teeth.
It's got really sharp teeth. And the weird thing is I used to have dreams about this fucking knife as a kid.
Like nightmares?
It wasn't really nightmares. I just had dreams about it. Yeah. And this fight with the knife has broken Lamont.
It's kind of goofy. Like at first he I noticed this. I'm like, at first it stabs him in like the leg, but no blood comes out. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Couldn't afford it.
You see very little blood. This whole opening here, though, reminds me of a better way of doing this movie.
What's that?
So?
What movie where you had a rich dude get lost in an Asian mountain, get trained?
Iron Man.
Boy, I know you. I know you're fucking with me. Now say the real movie.
Danny Rand. The Fist of Kung Lao.
I was gonna say Batman Begins.
You can tell Matt got really mad here.
I think that Danny Rand got him a
Because
little
I'm
bit.
like, dude, I know you know fucking Batman Begins, dude.
It's been over a decade since I've seen it.
But you know how it opens?
Vaguely.
When he meets Liam Neeson.
It's not that memorable for me. It's just, Dark Knight, obviously. It's just
But it's
the most memorable.
it's set up the same way.
Because now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, that actually makes sense.
So the way this worked is we have credits, Opium Fields, Tibet, credits, a stinger opening, and then we get a wall of text.
But then
Yeah, like
Star Wars text, like, oh, he did some
Wanted to be Star
training. Yeah. Oh, he did some training. Okay, can we see that? And Louis was like, nope.
Nope. 7 years later, basically this is basically saying how he became the Shadow, and
Which, okay, that's just
they're like, we're gonna skip all this fucking origin shit outside of it.
Yeah, development, we don't give a fuck about that.
I do like the line though. Thus armed, Cranston returned to his homeland, the most wretched lair of villainy we know as Dum Dum Dum, New York City.
New York. Yep.
And this is where we're in this Brooklyn Bridge scene, which so bad.
It is bad.
First off, just to explain what's going on, a couple of gangsters want to kill Roy Tam, who's in cement shoes, gonna sink his ass. This is Saburo Shimono. I know him from a few episodes of MASH. Interestingly, he was also at Tool Lake Internment Center with George Takei during World War II. Duke, though, you might recognize, Julia. He was in a small movie where he's a janitor.
I think I saw it in your notes when I opened this up, Breakfast Club.
Yes.
I was about to say, well, because I was just looking through and I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. But continue.
But Duke here has a match as a toothpick, which is fucking stupid. And now we have Lamont as the titular Shadow coming to save Roy.
Personally, I like to call him Invisible Man or just Lone Ranger because, I don't know, he just gives me Lone Ranger vibes. Like, I know it's based off of the character, but it's like, and like the fucking Bradley Cooper prosthetic nose. I'm sorry. Like, what the fuck?
Like, and it's like,
Oh, Tracey hasn't seen that yet.
what?
Look up Bradley Cooper nose.
Why?
You're gonna be in for a real treat.
So he's directed this movie where he's playing a composer.
Why?
Oh, you're seeing it now?
Why put a prosthetic nose on? Like, why even just don't?
Yeah, exactly. And everybody's like, do you not realize how anti-Semitic that looks, dude? Even though the family has come out and said, hey, that's okay. It's like, is it though?
Like there are pictures that were like comparing like the real life person, and it's like his nose wasn't that big. Why make it that big?
Because it's slightly anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
Just a little bit.
And it's slightly anti-Semitic in this movie.
Yeah,
just a little.
This movie's like
just a smidge.
It's just perfect, like the early '90s. Just like, oh, let's see what we can get away with here. It's not bad.
Yeah, and for some reason, he can't. Him as the shadow won't stop laughing.
He's like, wah.
So I'm like, why is he laughing? Like, I was like,
to scare him, I guess. I don't know.
It's so fucking cheesy.
And but, I won't stop laughing at the clear drape behind them.
Or the
city.
It's not. You don't think it's a matte
painting? That's a drape.
Really?
Yes, you can see it. You can see it set on the set. It's like they didn't care about anything. And for some fucking reason, you have split diopter shots in this movie. In this scene. Just this scene.
What?
Split diopter. So, yeah. But anyways, like Duke starts just, banging into the fog. He's like, clack. And this is another part of the shoddy set design is that you can see the bridge bend when he bends over. And it's just like, man, come on. Yeah, come on, y'all. Because he even shoots his own car for some reason. Just because.
Why not?
And then all of a sudden Shadow takes everyone out. And
so do they ever come up with the reason why he's wearing a prosthetic face, like mask, with the fucking suit?
Well, it's supposed to hide his identity.
Yeah, it's supposed to hide his identity. He has the ability to look like any face he wants, and he chooses that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it makes me so
it's like a fat suit for the face.
He could have just made his face look like a me. A Wii U me.
No, it looks like fucking, like, there's like some shots where he's like doing a smoldering, it looks like fucking Rocky. Like fucking Sylvester Stallone.
I hate to compare it to Batman 89, but look at that 5 years prior and you get a good introduction to Batman. Tell all your friends about me. I don't want to tell my friends that. I'm good.
Nope. Speaking of telling your friends about you, if you meet anybody, they're going to ask you, the sun is shining. You tell them, but the ice is slippery.
And now we're in the cab because he saved Roy, and they're picked up by Frank goddamn Boyle himself. And Peter Boyle himself.
He's just like the yes man, basically.
Did you ever watch Everyone Loves Raymond?
I saw bits and pieces of it.
Okay, he's the dad in that.
Uh-huh.
He plays the Frankenstein's monster in Young Frankenstein.
Stop.
Yeah, I love him in that movie.
I was about to say, because they have this like catchphrase like that they like say, because he's in the cab. He's like, "You basically owe me your life," and so he's like, "The sun never shines," and I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, we could change that to sunshine, lollipops, rainbows, and sunshine.
There's another problematic thing we catch here is first off, if Shadow saves your life, you're a servant of his for the rest of your life.
Indebted to, and you get these cheesy ass, big ass, gaudy ruby rings.
And I'm sorry, out of me, you saved my life. Thank you, dude. You get one, maybe two favors, and I'm done. What are you gonna do after you kill me? Okay, cool. I'm.
Oh no, he's gonna put a mood ring on me. What am I gonna do?
It's like, sorry,
where he can find you wherever you go.
I already have that. It's called My Thoughts.
But if you look in the novels of the old novel covers of the Shadow, the nose is even worse. Problematic stuff aside, I'm having palpitations because Peter Boyle here is driving like goddamn Tracey.
I ain't that bad now.
I knew someone who drove like that, and I feel you.
I don't
this
drive that
dude
bad
is
in
just
cities.
that this dude is just like fuck red lights, fuck stop signs, fuck everything. I'm gonna Tokyo drift around the fucking square here. But Roy does bring up a good point though. He's like, how did you know I needed help? And he's just like the fucking Shadow manipulated everything. The Shadow made that situation happen because they know where he lives and everything. He planned this out. He was like, he slipped a note over to Duke and he's like, Duke, go get this dude and try to kill him. And in the 40s, you're not getting around town like that. Even cabbies couldn't know where everything was. I think I said this in Ghostbusters a year ago. Like having to find places back then without like GPS and stuff was like hard.
Maps and just trial and error.
Yeah. You see another shot of the city while Alec has a maniacal laugh because he can't stop fucking laughing in this movie. And I get what they're trying to do with this shot. It's like very inspired by a 30s, 40s aesthetic and a little Dick Tracy, but it looks bad. And I do like that they have like an automat in the background so you know you're in New York City. But now we get to the Cobalt Club where it's very fucking... Oh, go ahead, Tracy.
I have a quick question. There's a scene in here, I don't know if you noticed it, to where like his hand phases like in the car. Like he like moves his hand forward and like it totally like phases. Like I don't know if it's like a glitch in like the rendering process.
I didn't see that. Yeah. And we're in this club that looks like the fucking opening club in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Just something not as swanky.
Yeah, not as swanky. Yeah. Now Mr. Alec is cleaned up, and I'll say this about pre-Cat in the Hat Alec Baldwin, like early 90s, late 80s Alec, he could get it. Now the alcoholism and all that fucking shit is, man, wrecked his fucking body. But he's having dinner with his uncle Wainwright, played by Jonathan Winters. He was Grandpa Smurf, and then he was Papa Smurf in the movies until he passed away. He's in a really good episode of Twilight Zone at a pool hall.
Isn't he in Rocky and Bullwinkle?
I think
like
so,
the
yes.
Movie? Yeah.
He's also Mirth in Mork and Mindy, which nobody listening to this probably has ever seen. He plays Robin Williams' son, and he's older. That's the joke, is that he's older. But he's playing this role pretty straight and nothing like himself in real life or most other roles of his. So it doesn't work for me.
I mean, like, you know, him being the fucking lieutenant or whatever the fuck, like, I mean, yeah, Jim Gordon vibes, I guess, but, you know, he doesn't say, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, that's whenever he starts talking for like 2 seconds, and then Lamont's like, shut the fuck up. Who's this that came in? And he's like, Eckhart, sir. Oh my God. But no, this is Penelope Ann Miller playing Margot Lane. Recently, she was Jeffrey Dahmer's mom in that miniseries last year. Apparently, she's going to be Nancy Reagan in the upcoming Reagan movie, and I've got a host of fucking questions what that movie's going to be about. Is she going to be able to give the Gawk Gawk 5000 in that movie?
Maybe. She's going to tell the true story how they met.
Yeah. No, it's going to actually probably be a right-wing movie because it's starring Dennis Quaid as Ronald Reagan.
Uh-huh.
So I'm already good. I love Jack Quaid right now, but I'm good. It's also got Kevin Sorbo.
God damn it.
And it was made back in 2020. So if that tells you how good it'll be, waiting 3 years to release it. Movies typically don't fare well if you have to wait years to release it.
Scott Stapp is in it as Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. It's also got John Voight. And I'm like, I'm so good on watching that. But this is where the Shadow manipulates his uncle. He's like, there's no Shadow. Stop investigating me, dude. And Uncle Wainwright's like, yeah, sure.
Who's Shadows?
I'll give it to him.
Yeah,
him.
It's very much the Force. This is not the Shadow you're looking for.
I'll give it to him. He's the king of gaslighting, for sure.
But he tries to go Mac with Margot Lane, takes her to a Chinese restaurant, and he tries to use his shadow powers to fuck, which he has clearly done in the past. He just leans back where nothing but his eyes are shown, and he's like, "You will fuck me."
Yeah, like it's definitely he's done that, and how they frame her as well is like, this is a witch. She's a woman that lives by herself. No, not down by any man. She's crazy, and I'm like, damn.
Oh, well, she's nearly 30, so like she's an old maid now.
She's barren, can't have kids, got 3 cats, but then she can read his mind.
Yeah, and
which she didn't do in the original, like the shadow. Like she didn't do that.
Didn't do what?
She wasn't telepathic.
Oh, you know more about that comic than I do. Then
I mean, no, I just read it and I was like, well, I didn't read the comic.
You read it?
No, I read like the wiki or whatever of like the shadow, and apparently like this is like the only time she's telepathic because it was just for the movie, which stupid, but whatever. She's like, I'm not dead.
After a pretty useless scene in a Chinese restaurant where he's like, I speak Mandarin.
Which I don't think, I don't know. It makes me feel kind of icky. I'm like, I don't know if that's actual Mandarin. I can't say, but it's giving, I don't think he can. I think he's just speaking breakfast at Tiffany's, Asian, Mandarin, all that.
What do you think, Tracey?
Oh, it's probably racist as shit. I think with this movie, everything's been lowest common denominator so far, and I don't think that changes at any point.
It's probably true.
That's probably the lightest of it. Just the lightest, more lighter side of the racism in this movie. Just slightly.
It's like, man, this movie did not give a fuck. But we cut to, because we now go to the Natural History Museum where we meet at Max Wright for some fucking reason, which in 1994, Max Wright had been a few years removed from Alf, but the dad in Alf.
I've never seen Alf.
Tracey, I think, has.
I've seen it. It's been years. So this is just like a slight cameo for him. Just like, whatever.
Keep your SAG insurance, dude. Come on in.
All right. So summer blockbuster, dad from Alf.
And also a security guard that is Ethan Phillips, who would go on to play Neelix on Voyager, which neither of y'all have watched.
I don't care for Star Trek.
I know you don't. Tracy's sludging.
That's a journey I've started.
Yeah, you're just through original series, right?
Mm-hmm.
You haven't started next gen.
I haven't, yeah.
They figure out this is Genghis Khan's casket or something fucking other, and they're like, "Hey, security guard, don't open that. We got to call some people."
And in my mind, literally in my mind, I'm like, he's gonna open it. He's gonna open it. He's gonna open it, and it's like, oh well.
Now, to be fair, the main bad guy that comes out of here is John Lone, and I don't have any problems with him, but I haven't seen him in anything else. He's mostly been a Chinese actor.
Well, he won a Golden Globe for The Last Emperor for Best Actor.
But he's been mostly in Chinese film. Yeah. But he's like, Ethan Phillips, you need to leave this movie. Kill yourself. And Ethan Phillips is like, sure will. And then the two run back. Like, there's 2 people that are in the museum, and they run back to see him kill himself, or that he's killed himself. And Shawan Khan, who's the character, is hiding behind them. And I'm like, why? You just show that you could kill someone without really having to think about it.
Also, I don't know if it's probably not just me, but it's like his pupil, like his eyes are just so dilated that they look comical.
That's just the amount of blow they're doing on set.
Because after this, he makes a cab driver off himself.
Which I did kind of.
So I'm like, why are you picking and choosing who you killing, man? Just kill them all.
Yeah.
Like, if you're the villain, go.
That's what he's
go
going
at
for.
It.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's his whole motive.
Oh, and apparently, if you have these shadow powers, good guy, bad guy, you laugh like an idiot.
Yeah. And don't you know he's the very last set of Genghis Khan, not the 1.5999999 million other people out in the world that are descendants of Genghis Khan?
That's your one issue with this movie.
No, there's a lot of issues.
Tracey,
That's
the
one
historian's big issue is not enough Genghis Khan descendants.
Do you remember Scott hated Hellboy
Yes.
for the sole fact that they were too far west?
Yes.
And I was like, dude, why? He's like, no, fuck that movie. He like everybody, like he just sold it for me.
Yeah, rest in peace, that goofy bastard.
And
But we go to the War Department now, which is localized in one office building.
I know, as they're creating the atomic bomb.
Well,
10
no,
years
I think
prior?
here they're creating implosion devices, not necessarily the atomic bomb.
No, they're working. No, it's implied they're working towards the atomic bomb.
Yeah. And this is where we see Tim Curry and Ian McKellen, the
two-
stars of this fucking movie.
Literally the only saving grace, if you can even call it that.
like the two most decorated people, like actors in this film. I wonder if they just did it for the paycheck, or it's like, you do this film, you can do this other pet project.
Tim Curry did it only because Ian McKellen was in it. He wanted to act with Ian McKellen.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, you have Gandalf here playing fucking Dr. Reinhardt Lane. And then you have Frankenfurter playing Farley.
Who, okay, like when I watched this, I was like, because I was listening, obviously I was listening, and I was like, is he using his British accent, or is he using his fake, like, because you know, he has that temperous, all that.
If you listen to anyone that tries to do an American accent that's not from America, it's really obvious.
Well, yeah, but he does it better.
Doctor Strange.
I was about to say, well, he does it kind of good. Like the way Tim Curry does it, it's great. It's good. But it's like, I can't, like, he's just switching on and off. And I'm like, what is he, like, what? But, you know, regardless, he's one of the only few good things about this movie. And that's saying very little.
In 1994, if you were to ask me, name two actors that would steal the scenery together in a movie like this, these two would not be my fucking answer.
Who would it be?
Not these two, because you have Ian McKellen, who is more classical.
Yeah.
And then you have Tim Curry,
Tim
Curry.
Yeah.
Tim Curry.
But come to find out, they had actually been on stage together for production of Amadeus. And then you get Tim Curry, the creep, trying to, hey, Margot, how you doing? And she is not fucking having it.
Oh, she's not.
And he doesn't know how to take no for an answer because it's the 1940s. And you can't do that shit. And apparently Reinhardt, one of the running jokes in this movie, I guess if you want to call it that, is that Reinhardt is colorblind.
Yeah. Or he doesn't, he gets his
apparently colorblindness can be solved by pointing at the color.
Shit brown looks like shit brown, don't you know?
But she's trying to talk to her dad about Lamont, and he's just like, I got a bomb to work on. What are you doing here? Go away.
I'm trying to Oppenheimer this shit before it was even popular.
The next morning, they're looking at the suicide of Neelix when the police commissioner arrives, as a police commissioner does, just shows up to every crime scene in New York City. But another agent, so another person that Lamont has conned into serving under him, passes info through this fucking ridiculous tube system.
Yeah, that goes into its own secret Batcave.
It goes through buildings.
Yeah, the secret shadow cave, not the Batcave.
Like, but that made me wonder: does this dude just sit here all day waiting for notes?
Well, that's one of his helpers.
Yeah, so does that dude sit there all day? Because clearly he has Peter Boyle stop his regular cab driving job to serve him. Yeah,
but that dude just like straight up like drops everything he's doing. Like, I gotta go, honey.
It's like, rent, that's not important this month. I gotta go serve the shadow.
Let me kick these people out of my car while they're in their ride
and not take any money.
I gotta go be his bitch right now.
But Lamont goes to his bat cave, and for some reason they have a video phone here, like just out of nowhere. Like, yeah. I don't think video phones existed in the 1940s.
This is just to show how far advanced he is technology.
And then we get like what could have been a good scene between the villain and hero. We get the opposite of that. Because Shiwan Khan has shown up to the lair to talk to Lamont about joining him. We're going to rule the world and I need you by my side. And Lamont's like, no. But they have like this bad delivery of lines, like the Brooks Brothers thing about his tie. That was all a joke about the radio show, which would do that. And I'm like, why is it in this movie? What purpose does it serve in this movie other than making a joke about a radio play from fucking 60 years ago?
To make a joke about a radio play from 60 years ago?
Yeah, but nobody's going to fucking get that. That's what I'm saying.
Well, maybe the people like they were 80 and listened to the radio play going up.
They're like, yeah, we get that.
It's like that little slight Easter egg for them to see that and then hate everything else about the movie.
Yeah, being like, this is so woke because of, Asian people or something.
But we go to the villain HQ immediately, and this is where apparently Shiwan has brought in a lot of Mongolian soldiers. Sure, why not?
Or he turned everybody's like mind to make them think they're Mongolian fighters.
Yeah, because there's clearly one white dude.
He made him think he was Mongolian.
Yeah, but they never. If I'm going to have like soldiers under me, I don't know if I'm going to have them wear traditional garb in New York City.
This dude doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. That's all that is.
At the same time, Shadow is like, hey, Roy Tam, remember when I abducted you? Yeah, I need you to return the favor now. And he has him analyze his coin. And it's just some fucking MacGuffin.
But it's bronzium.
That can create atomic weapons. Which
they literally say it's like, he's like, oh, it could create the next. And then Alec Baldwin's like, atomic bomb. And I'm like, yes, Oppenheimer moment.
If he would just seen this movie, he would have known how to do it.
Yeah, if he had just sat through 3 hours, he would have figured it out. Then we get some magic by Shiwan to take control of Reinhardt through the fucking billboard.
The llama cigarette billboard. I think it's just a llama cigarette that it's more than just tobacco.
Do what?
I think there's more in those cigarettes than tobacco.
Maybe. I mean, it's obviously a play off of Camel cigarettes. So the difference between our hero and villain that I've surmised at this point is that the hero gaslights his agents to work for him, where the villain just removes free fucking will.
Yeah, the villain is like, you're doing it
so
now.
You're shit out of luck either way.
You're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't.
Back at the Cotton Club, that's where Margot's like, oh my God, where's my dad? And also reveals that, hey, that device earlier that Roy had said doesn't exist. It does, which indicates that she's not weak-willed. She can't be manipulated by the Force, even though she is later, which is bullshit. So they're trying to abduct the doctor, and now the Shadow has super strength where he can just pick a dude up.
He tricks them with his mind to make them think they're jumping that far, so they jump with it.
Well, yeah. So was it that? Was it his workout regimen with doing some 1920s ball workouts? Or was it the blatant wire? Was it the blatant wire work that you could see in the film?
It's just the wire work.
And then he has to have this corny ass fucking like action movie line. Next time you'll be on top.
Oh yeah, that's when he fell on the gargoyle statue in the corner of the building. It's like, oh my God, that's so dumb. That's so bad.
And then you have he throws another soldier over the building, and that fall looks more fake than when the Joker fell in '89. But this is to teach us that these soldiers have more loyalty to Shiwan than anything and are willing to die. And it's after this that Margot Lane is tricked by Khan, or made by Khan to go kill the Shadow. So this is where that inconsistency comes in. Like, is she weak-willed? Is she not? What's going on here? After this, Lamont's like, I need a snort of brandy to nurse my wounds. And she shows up with one bullet.
And just misses.
And whiffs at a mirror.
And then somehow erases her mind control.
Yeah. And then you get this confusing fucking scene. Like, I'm still trying to understand it. So he leaves to go to his lair. I'm gonna go to the lair, blah, blah, blah. While he's going there, he's getting followed. So he dips into the shadow to hide, and the soldier keeps walking.
I thought that was Shawan still.
No, that was not Shawan. That was just a random ass soldier. But then he starts following the soldier.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You were supposed to go to the lair. Now you're and I think you got confused with what was supposed to go on here when they were making this. I'm like,
and then he gets lost at the Chinese New Year's festival or whatever's going on in Chinatown. It's like,
because this is a weekly thing in Chinatown in this universe. Because remember, we're being super racist about Asians in this movie. Again, why are they wearing armor everywhere around town? I don't get it.
Like they'd be noticeable then.
Yeah, exactly. And people would be like, what the fuck? Anyways, we go to the restaurant, and that's where Shawan is just fucking chowing down, man. He is like hands in. I know I know that forks and stuff are not in, everywhere. But I do know Chinese people eat with something other than their hands, right? Like there's foods that you eat. There's foods you do eat with your hands that are from like India and stuff like that. But I'm just like, there is also some fucking etiquette to it. Instead of just
not like
no. And of course, now they're wearing the same suits because he was like,
oh, I heard
we
about
have to complete that fucking joke. But we do get Alec Baldwin's best line of the movie because he's like talking about the USA and he's like, that's the US of A you're talking about, pal.
I'm shaking in my boot.
Like that was so cheesy and overforced.
But come to find out, the secondary antagonist, the knife, was taken by Shawan.
Wasn't he basically like, oh, well, actually, I took it, but I ran it through or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, it's the Kill Bill. I killed our master. Fuck you. After this conversation, which goes really nowhere, Lamont gets a gun and they fire at each other at the same time, and the bullets hit each other. We need a Mythbuster. We need to bring back Mythbusters for that.
It's such a magical moment.
Yeah, and it's such a terrible moment too because it doesn't look good. But we get another.
Nothing in this movie looks good.
And I don't know how they lose Shiwan in this scene because Mo should have been able to just. Mo has driven over people multiple times. He has committed vehicular manslaughter to get to his destination.
He's unabashed about it. He's just like he gives zero fucks.
So they go back home, and after some sappy talk between Margot and Lamont, they go to sleep. He has a dream where he straight up goes poltergeist in this, where he starts ripping off his face.
Like,
yeah, that was.
I'm like, yeah.
Again, it's like tone. Like, pick a tone and stay with it. Like, what the fuck does this have to do with any fucking thing else?
It literally never comes back at all. That is the most stupid thing. I'm like, or actually, no, it does. Whenever, like he's like, oh, I had a nightmare, and she's like, oh my god, she's like, oh my god, I had this dream where I was like naked on the beach or something. And
she is straight up horny in about that dream.
Oh, she is. She's definitely.
But it's still like, again, earlier we established that the Shadow uses his shadow powers to manipulate women, and he feels awkward about this.
Yep.
He's like, a woman is horny. What the fuck is going on here? So yeah, after this conversation about a dream, coincidentally, Alec Baldwin's got clothes that fit her.
Just
she's
somehow
like,
magic.
They're my aunts, and she's like, sure, buddy. And she's like, yeah, I'm tired of whatever superhero movie y'all were making. We're making a buddy cop comedy. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, I'm part of this now.
If they could have stuck with that, I think it probably made a better movie overall from start to finish instead of what we got.
Because in the comic, she is like a very close ally of his.
Yeah, it's gonna make me sound like I know about the Shadow. I really don't, but it's like, like
no more than I do.
Like apparently like they had like a relationship thing, but it's like they did like they never specified. And here it's like, oh, she's super horny for him because she thought about being naked on the beach or something. I don't know. It's so stupid.
And while that's going on, we have a random ass scene where Ian McKellen is describing the bomb blast on top of the Empire State Building. And Shiwan is making a Navy dude fly. He is making him commit a 9/11 jumper.
Yeah, just
Which happens in the background whenever like Margot and fucking Lamont go and talk about their plans or whatever the fuck. And I'm like,
So yeah, now we have another power that Shiwan is showing, that he can make people move against their will. Like, because the dude's like, what the fuck? And then he's like, do you fly, Navy boy?
Boop. All because he said nice dress or whatever.
But they try to be comedic with this death, and I don't get it.
I somewhat get it, but like a minute later, you still see him falling while they're talking, and I'm like,
yeah, that's the comedic part, is that he's talking it.
It's
and
not
when
funny.
he says, yeah, he's making a joke.
It's not funny.
Or he's saying something about it'll fall in or something, and about that time he smacks on the building.
It's very sloppy. It comes out. It's not funny.
It's the early '90s humor.
Yeah, but
He's live for it,
and he's like, "You go do this. I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna go meet Farley at his place," and we get to Tim Curry, which we haven't seen in like an hour or some bullshit.
I'm literally like on my just being like, thank you.
And he's got to go, but Lamont's got to go see Tim Curry about the second MacGuffin in this fucking movie,
the beryllium sphere.
And come to find out, Tim Curry is already a bad guy. Good for him. And he shoots at the shadow, and then we have like this like escape scene.
That he somehow magically over like miles calls her to come save him and like pinpoint GPS exactly where he's at, and she makes it instantly. But because there's a hole in the air, he can.
It's like when Luke called Leia. Leia, we have to go back.
I wonder if that's their attempt to do a homage to it.
I don't think it was an homage as much as it was a ripoff. But she saves him, and they go back home where she invades his mind while he's recuperating from a gunshot wound. Here's where I spout some shadow knowledge now. So in the novelization, they keep it true to the Shadow story. That's not really Lamont Cranston. That is Kent Allard. Lamont is a real person that looks like Kent, but they have an agreement where Kent lives his life and Lamont, the real Lamont, gets to stay away from publicity. They didn't mention that in this book or in the movie, but it is in the novelization. But and then she was like, sees like how he lived his life before, and she's like,
okay, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, she's like, Hakuna Matata, motherfucker. Damn, you hot. But we've got to wrap this third act up because we got like 20 minutes and we got a shit ton of stuff to do. We finally figure out what Shiwan is up to. He's going to ransom the city for money and still blow it up.
This is such an odd topic, though, because like nothing until this point points to him wanting anything to do with fucking money at all. He's just all of a sudden like, hey, I want money now.
Like, and he's still wanting to blow it up. And then you get like some exposition in the third fucking act. What the fuck? And it's Margot and Lamont talking about the fucking hotel that they can't see. It's in an empty lot.
Just so
Lamont can see it.
Well, he hadn't yet. He won't, because it's this exposition that he's like, oh, that's what he did. He hid it. He hid it from the city. And I'm like, what? How does this work? Like, dude, it was like hidden apparently a year after he got back. And What about people that move in?
Like, Colin apparently bought it like 6 years ago and was just like, and it just disappeared. Nobody knows what happened. Like, everybody moved out. It was like a mass, like, hallucinogens.
Yeah, but
worldwide.
Oh, hey, I'm moving to New York City to try to change my life.
It's like Westview and WandaVision was. Everybody around it forgot about it.
So it took me way too fucking long to figure out this timer on this bomb that they set off.
Uh-huh.
So he's like, set it for 2 hours. And I look at the timer and I'm like, that's 16,000 seconds. What the fuck are we doing? No, it's 1 for 1 hour, 60 for 60 minutes.
You just realized that?
Yes, but why would you do that? You should either do 120 minutes or you should 2.
This is getting like, this film, I was talking about it, has made me feel like it's very Ed Wood-ish and how it was done. Like, not as bad as his stuff is, but like still like.
No, dude, they wanted this to be a franchise.
But it wasn't.
I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Maybe in another universe that's the case, but in this one it's definitely not.
But
thank fuck.
Shiwan is like, hey, set this for 2 hours, let it blow. Again, he's not thinking about the money, so I don't know. I guess he's just trying to create panic, I guess. And Tim Curry's like, dude, we need to leave. And he's like, don't worry, I have an aeroplane. And
aeroplane.
It aeroplane. Because that's how they talked back then. And I'm just like, am I too late for the 4:30 auto gyro? Yeah, and Tracey's never seen The Simpsons, so he won't fucking get it. And this is where we get the agents at work. And apparently Peter Boyle has a wife in this movie. And
just drops everything.
You going to that bowling league? I'll be like, if you get that many notes about a bowling league, I'll be like, who are you going to see, really?
Who's this other woman you got in your life?
Who's this shadow woman?
It's Lady Gaga. In this shadow.
Shadow's like, hey, you two meet here. I'm going to go into this HQ and try to end it. And we get the trailer fodder, which y'all probably didn't watch the trailer, but it is him running up the stairs with like animated shadow, like an animated shadow, not a real shadow. And it stops with him looking down and with air blowing. Like, where the fuck is this air coming from, dude?
He got the AC too high.
But when you watch the trailer, they don't even give Ian McKellen a bill. They don't say his name.
Wow. Like, not even
Ian McKellen is by far the big, probably not at the time, but he is one of the most established actors at the time.
Him or Tim Curry. I mean,
and he's barely in the fucking movie.
Yeah. But Shiwan is like, hey, Tim Curry, go kill that dude. And Tim Curry's got a great line. He's like, can I just stay here and help you? And Tim Curry goes to this banquet hall and just starts spinning in circles like a fucking
such a cheesy shot too.
He's like,
it's fucking Scarface here, like.
And he calls him. He's like, "Come on, chicken, sissy."
I was like, that's the only good part, I guess.
And about that time, Shadow's like, all right, Tim Curry, you need to leave this movie. Jump out. And
he does.
And he does. So we get Shadow in the final level when the floor starts rotating. And he gets into a fight with a knife. And this is where that prosthetic nose is really prominent. Again, you're in the final part. Shiwan knows who the fuck you are. Why are you doing that trick with your face? And, and the knife has legs because, of course.
It has, like, spider legs. I'm like, I'm already creeped out by its face. Like,
Lamont, like the big old thing. Lamont can control the knife. Woo. Oh, my. And he finally reveals the hotel that the city couldn't see.
And all of a sudden, there's a bunch of car wrecks everywhere because they're like, where the fuck this come from?
What the fuck? Witchcraft. That man, they be calling Billy Graham. Be like, Billy, dude, you got to come preach, man. Some the fuck going on here. But they go into a hall of mirrors out of nowhere.
I know. Obviously, nobody saw Conan.
Tango and Cash. And while Margot and Ian McKellen try to disarm the bomb. And this is like, if you're going to rip from other movies like we've seen, Batman, Star Wars, why didn't they rip off of Star Trek 2?
But it's probably on the editing floor.
And she's like, dude, Dad, we got like an hour left. And he's like, well, I'm going to fucking speed this up.
Put the wrong line, immediately runs down to like 2 seconds. So
2 minutes. And then like he's got like 20 seconds by the time the balls or this big bomb starts, which, by the way, if it had fallen like that, it probably would have already gone off.
But it's gotta chase down fucking.
And this is where that color, this is where the colorblind joke comes back and pays dividends, because he's like, it's usually the green one. This is green. That's red. It's like, but if he put it on there, then it's the wire he has.
I know. He should have known it regardless, right?
Yeah, exactly. Even if he'd be like, no, yeah, it's this wire. It's this one. I'm colorblind, dumbass. But we go back to Lamont, and he's having a breakdown or something because he's just like, he's fucking Ultimate Warrior in over here,
shaking in his boots,
and he shatters all this glass, and then he stabs Shawan in the head with a shard. But that's because this whole ending had to be changed because of the 1994 earthquake. Like, this was supposed to be more elaborate, but that earthquake destroyed everything. So they had to change it up. I don't know if it would have made the movie better. Probably not.
But somehow they still live with the piece of mirror right down the middle of the skull too, though. Like, it doesn't like kill him. Is it like?
Well, you've seen the Scream movies, right?
No, I've never seen any Scream movie.
I'm gonna tell you. Well, there's one scene where a person gets stabbed right here in the middle of the head, and he walks. That's a real life thing that can happen. So we have to be just a slight more problematic. We have to have a joke about lobotomies.
Yay.
To end this movie.
Just wonderfully outdated, like everything.
Yeah. Because Shiwan no longer has powers, and he's left in an asylum. And we end on Lamont and Margot kissing when he leaves to go be the Shadow. And we end on that fucking big ass fucking prosthetic nose.
That Triple H nose.
And it's over. Did either of you watch the credits?
I went play through partly. Why?
There is a song so fucking out of place in this in these credits.
What
is it?
Taylor Dane. They actually had a song, like a theme song for this movie, with a video. Like, it was on MTV.
What the hell?
Yeah.
But they put up the
Taylor Dane sang "Tell It to My Heart." Big fame. She's sang a lot of other things. The song "Original Sin" was being sung earlier in the movie by Sanoa Loren in the club at the very beginning. Yeah, there's a fucking music video. This is the first time I ever knew that. It's her it's Taylor Dane singing and clips of the Shadow through the music video.
I miss those days of just going on MTV and seeing scenes from a movie and then like the song in the movie.
How old are you?
18.
Yeah. That didn't exist in your time. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, like they would do like other, like just seeing songs in general. Like I knew what MTV was at the time. Maybe not as like, it was like updated, I think, or whatever.
You knew it was like the road rules.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. But so that wraps up the great movie called The Shadow.
Yeah. And I'll have to ask, like, really, Matt? Really?
Yeah, really. I did blame you at first, Tracey. I was like, didn't Tracey picked this movie, and I was like,
Yeah.
nope.
I owned up to it. I was the one that selected this movie because I thought all of our movies this month were a tad on the too good side. So I needed to balance it out.
Just with a headache. Thanks. I was like, literally, I was watching the movie and I was like, fuck Tracey for making us watch it. And then Dad was like, no, that Tracey didn't pay. I'm like,
I own
you
that.
motherfucker, you bastard.
So thoughts on the movie? You start with Julia.
I have no words.
Okay, we'll start with Tracey.
So this movie wanted to do a lot of things, but not necessarily do them well. It just said, fuck it. I think we could do this. Let's do it. So they did it. And it falls flat a lot of the times. I don't say falls flat. Doesn't do well. I mean, this movie really, really, really wanted to be Tim Burton's Batman. Like, really wanted to be Tim Burton's Batman. And it didn't quite live up to the hype on that one. There, I can see we're seeing this as a kid where you could kind of gloss over a lot of stuff and like a nostalgia leads up to it. And you're like, oh man, I like it. But
yeah, in the 90s, you could look over all the racism, the anti-Semitism vibes and all that shit, especially as a 10-year-old kid, 9-year-old kid.
Yeah, you don't really pay attention to that as much.
But when you look back on it, it's like, how the fuck did this get made? Even in 1994.
magic.
Yeah, must be. Julia?
I kind of agree. Like, it just felt flat. Like, it wasn't just bad. Like, not just bad writing. Mid acting, okay, whatever. But, like, I was so bored. I was like, what time? Like, I kept looking at the time stamp or whatever. And I'm like, I have 40 minutes of, I zoned out, and the like third act, I'm like, oh, this is what's happening. Cool. So yeah, it just fell flat for me. I mean, nostalgia, I get that, but it's like, it's so boring.
So y'all act like I love this movie or something, and I don't. Like, I really don't watch it all that often. And
Once a year?
No, it's not a once a year thing.
It's an annual tradition.
No, Cats is an annual tradition. This is not.
Dad, no. We have to review that movie too, I guess.
Excuse me. But this movie really doesn't know if it wants to homage the radio play over the topness or the seriousness of the comics. So it's very tonally different throughout the movie. And like in the movie, when Margot's walking down the stairs, you see a butler we didn't see at any point before then. And it's like, who the fuck is this? You have not one, but you have two MacGuffins. You have terrible 90s effects. Like, these are bad for the 90s.
You have like Jurassic Park and like Speed.
Spawn had some better effects than this movie.
That's saying a lot.
Tracey knows.
I do know. And yeah, you saying that and you're talking about this, it got me changing my mind again. I think I'm going to throw a curveball in the episode for our next one.
God damn it.
This is a nostalgia trip for me. Like I said, I went with my cousin. I seem to recall we had fun watching it, but if we watched it today together, we would probably be like, what the fuck? And that's okay. Like, sometimes shit, you see shit that doesn't age well, like, and you got to recognize it.
You got to recognize it for what it was when you saw it. That's the joys of doing this, because, oh my God. So I'm going to go and say me and Julia are going to give it the thumbs down.
I'm in the thumb middle. Like,
thumb middle.
I'm like more leaned more toward it's not good. Like,
well, yeah,
but I will watch it from time to time.
So you're gonna give it the Zangief thumb? Just
yeah. I mean, but no, like, if you go watch it, like, there's a lot of problematic shit in this movie. Like, keep that in mind. And it's like
not just talking about.
And this really started when Alec Baldwin basically became a one-note fucking actor.
Yeah.
Like, what, 30 Rock was about 10 years after this or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Something.
Which I haven't seen any of that.
But if you watch any of his like older, like later movies after this, it's all pretty much the same at stilted acting.
Yeah, it's just it falls flat.
But if you watch like Hunt for Red October, some other things, like he's all right in that. I forgot what else he's been in, but yeah. But
now I want to make you guys review Cat in the Hat because of Alec Baldwin.
Maybe
we could have an Alec Baldwin one. Well, no, actually, no, scratch that. I wouldn't. No, I'm good.
So that wraps up this week's episode of the 35mm podcast, Over the Shadow. What we doing next week, Tracey?
So you mentioned Street Fighter, and now I'm half tempted to change my pick to that, but it's not anything streaming, and I don't think you own it. So I think you're dodged a bullet. But you did mention Spawn, and I know that's
on Tubi.
Street Fighter?
Yeah, Street Fighter's on Tubi, my guy.
I thought that was on Hulu or something, or maybe the new one. Not sure.
Not the new one. No, no.
Oh,
he's talking about the Jean-Claude Van Damme one.
I know, but I was like, I thought the old ones were. I thought that was on Hulu, but I was thinking of the new one on Hulu. I thought that was on Hulu.
Are you thinking of Mortal Kombat, Julia?
Probably.
I was like, what new one are you talking about?
So.
Oh my, yeah.
So
I'm gonna go with
which one are we
doing,
my Tracy?
Heart's heart. We're doing fucking Street Fighter. What's in my heart's heart?
Oh, so we're gonna stick. Oh, so we're gonna stick with 1994.
Yep. Because we were talking about kids, and the other one, like I saw, the other one was going to be Spawn, because that's a movie that I really enjoyed a lot growing up as well. But we could get that one in another time. But we're going to do fucking Street Fighter.
All right, we're gonna do the great Street Fighter movie by Steven D'Souza
with the Belgian guy playing an American.
And then we can talk about the movie based off of a video game that had a game based off of a movie based off of a video game. So Tracey gets to do some fucking research for next week. Great.
Wikipedia go.
We'll have Dr. Matt do all the research this time.
Yeah.
All right. But that has been the 35mm podcast. I have been annoying for selecting this movie.
I'm been Tracey and I get my payback next week.
And I'm the daughter who had to suffer through it because, of course.
Say bye-bye, Shadow. Bye-bye. All right. Peace out, everyone. Watch our podcast.
Deuces.
Listen to it. Do stuff. Interact with us.
Stream it in the background.
All right. Peace.